Alrighty. Well, I would like to call the Wednesday, November 18th, 2020 Brimfield Township Board of Zoning Appeals to order. Could we please have a roll call?
Bruce Dippenberg,
Here.
Scott Etling, Vince Murdocco,
Here.
Ed Schutte,
Here.
Sean Phillips,
Here.
William Kramer,
Here.
Clayton Popick.
Here. Oh, Mike.
How are you?
We also have the zoning inspector, Michael Hod, and our zoning secretary, Kayla Nealon. Is that how I pronounce it right?
That's it.
Thank you. Alrighty. We have minutes from the previous meeting that need to be approved. Actually, two, September and October.
I'll
Let's do
make
them
a
separately,
motion.
please.
I'll make a motion. We approve September and October
Okay,
minutes.
we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve both September and October's minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Alrighty, thank you. We have an agenda today. Everything on the agenda has been duly advertised, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion about our agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Alrighty. We have a motion and second to approve the agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
I'd like to make a motion that we move the one for Brad Mauer, handle that one first, since the other are a number of requests. That way we can get that one finished, finalized.
We have any objections from representatives of Sheets?
No, there's no objection. We kind of expected it. You understand.
Alrighty, we have a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second then to reverse the order of our agenda this evening. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So we will start with Brad. We have a quick swearing in for the applicants. So do you solemnly swear that the testimony you will give before this board is to the best of your knowledge an accurate and truthful presentation of the facts? If so, say I do.
I do. I do.
Okay. Will somebody else be speaking as well on your behalf? Or are you the only presenter? Brad.
This is Brad. I think I'm the only presenter that represents this project for our team.
Alrighty. Then if you would please state your name, relationship to the case, and your current address.
My name is Brad Mauer. I'm an architect. I'm in 1721 Willowwick Road, Mansfield, Ohio.
Representing the Cole Moyer?
Yeah, I'm representing Cole and Brooks Moy and their enterprise. I'm representing as the agent, yes.
Okay, thank you. We have a conditional use application. Conditional use request. Applicant is requesting a conditional use permit to operate a car wash within the GC district. zoning resolution, section 309.02B. General commercial zoning district car washes are conditionally permitted use subject to the provisions of chapter 4. Okay, if you would, please tell us a little bit about the car wash.
Okay, basically we've given a site plan, and I think they've also given a little slide presentation for you to review. Hopefully that was all distributed. We have roughly a 4,200 square foot automatic tunnel, single tunnel car wash. We're proposing to squeeze it onto this site. It's a little tight, but we're within the side and front yard setbacks. We are showing 26 staged vehicle spaces before we enter the car wash. We are, let's see here, we've got 25 vacuum spaces, I believe, on this one. They offer a base, I don't know how much you want me to go into all this. They offer a free vacuum service. They're very community oriented. They're going through quite a few cars per minute when it's very busy. I think they go through 2 per minute, or 2 minutes per car, sorry. And we are proposing to connect with the rear driveway access easement to connect to the future parcel next door. We've gone through quite a process to try to get the lots to balance out. We did do a lot split to get the next lot to be within the buildable acreage. We basically average between 3 to 4 to 5 employees at one time. That's pretty much where we're at. We do have some building drawings developed. I didn't have those available when we submitted this, but we're modeling this off of one that's built in North Carolina, and we're in the process of developing that for this location. We have that available now if and when that is necessary, but we did provide an elevation of that original building that's built down there, and this one's almost identical to that structure in North Carolina. These guys are from North Carolina. They're bringing their businesses further north. My team has done a lot of car washes in the Ohio area, which is how we teamed up, actually through the equipment. The car wash equipment vendor brought us together.
Okay, so this is it'll be King's Car Wash or 3-minute car wash? I think the images show 3-minute.
To be honest, they haven't told me the official name. I believe it's going to be either a Camel or a King's car wash. I think it's going to be a King's.
Mr. Zoning Inspector, do we have any information on our car wash? Oh, Michael?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
So, I mean, you have similar use with the car wash.
What happened?
I think you're on mute.
I've sent Mike a couple of requests to unmute. Hold on. Looks like Mike has logged off real quick and we'll be logging back on. Let's give him just a second.
Well, while we're waiting for Michael to show back up, do we have any questions from the board members about the car wash?
Not yet.
Okay. So you indicate that it does fit within all of the sidelines. We're not going to be looking for any variances tonight, just the conditional permit. Oh, you're on mute as well, Brad.
I am on mute. Yeah, that is correct.
All righty.
We're not going to have any balloons or flying characters, big
The little-
lights.
Just the little Gumby, the inflatable Gumby. And maybe we'll hand out some free chicken. I heard the chicken comment earlier. I'll have
Yeah.
to see if they want
You
to offer
know,
some
that
chicken.
that would be a good idea there.
I did, this is the first one I've done with this team, so I did reread his slideshow and what they offer and what they do with the community. They probably will offer some things, you know, especially at the grand opening, but specifically, I don't know. We are trying to get the tower. The tower is 35 feet. That is within zoning setbacks or zoning regulations, but we're kind of playing with the height of that tower as far as structure goes. But being that we're a little bit lower on the hillside on Talmadge Road, we are gonna be at the close to that height, but it's within zoning regulations.
What's the purpose of the tower?
Basically, it's visibility, advertisement and visibility. It's not a functional tower. Every one of these car washes, it seems like we do all over the country. They either have one, if not two towers, just to get a little bit more of a billboard and a little bit more exposure, and the signage, obviously. We sometimes do have equipment platforms, and some of them we put some extra equipment as an equipment platform, but that's just a bonus little feature of the additional height that we have in the tower.
Okay. Mr. Zoning Inspector, do we have everything back in order now?
Yes, we are. I got kicked out. I was right in the middle of talking. I got kicked out. So, yeah, I mean, we have in the general commercial, we have car wash right across the street. It's similar in use. I think it fits in the zoning district. Architectural features look good on it. And we have some more retail businesses going down in there that will enhance this as well.
And the tower with the signage, does that fit into our book as well?
I have no formal submittal of signage yet, so I have not reviewed anything. There's no application for signage, so.
Yeah, we'll probably offer that as a secondary supplement. We're studying the requirements of the signage and what we're allowed, and we'll have that as a secondary submission.
Comfortable with the application without, I mean, he indicated that he doesn't have all of the building drawings available at this point, or he does but hasn't submitted them yet?
He's looking for the use, and for the application for the use. You can, it's at your leisure whether you or not you want to approve it there, or if you want to table it and wait till you get the elevations.
Do we have any other questions? Okay, do we have a motion?
Well, I guess I'm going to be the guy. I'll make a motion that we approve it, subject to the the drawings and all that.
Okay, so,
I can't hear you. Did you go on
Yeah.
mute?
no, I'm here. I was just
Oh.
trying to, so you're moving to approve it?
But
Or you're moving to wait until we get the rest of the information? I'm not
well,
sure.
doesn't he need the approval to go forward.
Okay,
Or-
so you're approved, okay, so that's what you're approving at this point,
Yeah.
our motion? To grant the conditional permit for further review by the zoning department?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, continue to work with the zoning department. You have your conditional permit.
Thank you very much, and we will definitely be in touch with Mr. Ladd.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. All right, so the next item on the agenda is a conditional use application. Conditional use request. Applicant is requesting conditional use permit to operate a gasoline service station in the town center district. The zoning resolution section 308.023 town center zoning district does not cover. Whatever is not covered comes before the BZA for ruling. So at current time, there is no permitted or conditional permit for a gas station in the town center district. However, they are basing it on the fact that it's also a convenient/food facility, which would be conditionally permitted. So if I'll turn it over to the zoning inspector, if you would please, you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, so I mean, it's not a use covered in the town center. We do have one gas station at the town center that has been grandfathered, if you will, in. It's been there prior to the zoning. We do have, it does abut right next to the highway commercial, but this is the start of the town center in front of the elementary school. We do have several letters that you may want to make a motion that you guys have read those and have accepted them into record. They're all on the website. Lauren and Kayla, I think we have, what, 70 of them total?
I think they're at 68, 70.
Okay. So you might want to accept those that you read them and keep them in for record. But yes, they're coming in under uses not covered, come before the BZA.
Okay, thank you. All right. How many people do we have that will be speaking tonight for sheets?
If I can, maybe just to start to answer the question, my name is Bruce Rinker and I'm land use counsel with my law firm Mansard Gavin. That's 1001 Lakeside Avenue in Cleveland. We're suite 1400. And what I suggest, I can give you sort of a roster of who's here, and then if you want to swear in everyone at that point, that might facilitate things.
Okay, that sounds perfect.
Okay, great. So in addition to me, probably the primary speaker after I try to give you a good overview is going to be Ryan Balco, and Ryan's the engineering and permit project manager. He really is covering all of the entitlement aspects from Sheets. Also from Sheets, we have HC Phones, who is real estate site selector, and probably give you, depending on questions and answers, I think HC can give you some insights from corporate. We have, only because we're aware that a number of these letters, people have a perception of some security issues. We have Kathy Potter from Sheets Security in the event you have questions for her. I think Jamie Ashard as well, although I didn't see on the screen. Eric Smith, who is he's our traffic engineer, he's from Prime AE. I think Eric's probably got close to 40 years experience as a traffic engineer and really oversaw the traffic impact study, which was submitted to ODOT earlier on in October. I will tell you up front, we have not yet heard from ODOT. But our understanding is based on the criteria that ODOT looks for warrants, and this would concern especially the traffic light for Falcon Drive and 43. And Eric can answer questions if you have them, but essentially what we're saying is that we would meet those warrants, that the traffic situation we would suggest calls for a traffic light. Tom Weesey is here from the Skipper Group, incidentally. And then we also have Roger Grimm from Hammondtree, who handles a lot of the engineering. So the drawings, the surveys, a lot of that information that's been provided, and more technical detail, Roger can provide that as well. So I think I've covered the group of people here on behalf of Sheets, if you want to move to swear in.
All righty then. Anyone who will be speaking, I'll have the secretary take a roll of whoever wishes to be speaking tonight. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give before this board is to the best of your knowledge an accurate and truthful presentation of the facts? If so, say I do. In turn, we already have everyone's name and the relationship to it. So if we could just go quickly through the name list and whether or not they affirm or whether they can say I do.
Bruce Rinker,
I do.
Roger Grimm,
I do.
Ryan Balco,
I do.
Tom Weesey,
I do.
H.C. Founds,
I do.
Kathy Potter, Jamie Asher,
I do.
and Eric Smith.
I do.
Did I get everybody?
I think so. Good. So bear with me. You know, I'm the lawyer, so I'm not the expert, but I think I can give you an overview. You've all had a chance to look at two sort of transition letters of transmission that I provided, and I'll go in the sequence that I think makes the sense. The conditional use permit. I'll touch upon the 5 area variances we're seeking, I think just to help give us some perspective, but hopefully the overview I give really sets up discussion for everybody. First of all, you know, the site is a little more than 3.5 acres. It's been vacant for quite a while. This was kind of carved off some time ago. I don't know the full history, but you all are very familiar with it. It's a vacant parcel. It fronts on 43. The back end or the east end of it has some perimeter trees that have been planted there for some time, and they kind of loop around to the southeast corner with the Brimfield Elementary School farther to the east. There's kind of a mix of uses along this corridor. To the north, there's there's an all-pro sports store and a Wendy's. To the south, there's a historic property, an animal clinic, a gun shop, and then the fire department. The Baptist church is across the street, sort of off the southwest corner, and then a cemetery south of that. Directly across is currently vacant, and then there's a McDonald's kind of catty corner to the northwest with the intersection of Falcon. And one of the points that we want to make, I think, up front is that what we're asking for, we understand that this is a town center zoning district, and the service station use itself is not treated as a permitted use. As we've indicated in the application, what we're asking the BZA to consider here is that it has the discretion under the code. There's not a whole lot of criteria, but essentially if a use is not identified in a district, you do have that discretion. And our hope is that we provide you with enough objective elements about how this Sheets proposal we think fits in well as a transitional use, for this site. We're just a little bit south of the interchange with 76. You know from your zoning map that if you go north of 76 on 43, you've probably got about double the distance north for the highway commercial uses there. But the fact remains that as you head south, right at Falcon Drive is the dividing line, the kind of Mason-Dixon line between what is interchange-oriented uses to the north than to this town center use. But the Sheets facility features And we have some renderings, and I note that they were not provided with the application. I think we just didn't think they were necessarily required under the zoning resolution. But Ryan Balco, if you wish, will be able to show you some three-dimensional renderings. Earlier this year, we had an informal meeting, well, actually a meeting with the Board of Education, and we showed those renderings to the board members. And I would venture to say, I think they saw that from an aesthetic standpoint, they're really quite aesthetically pleasing. Sheets has state-of-the-art architectural design components, brick, stone masonry features, bronze metal finish architectural treatments. The convenience store itself is just a little over 6,000 square feet. There's a drive-through component. The ordering point is on the south side of the site, and then you come around the rear or the east side of the store for 2 pickup points. By the way, that ordering point, there's a call button if you need it, but it's not a loudspeaker function. They use touchpads just as they have inside the store. The store itself is situated to meet the code. And in fact, in the request for variances, we've tried to minimize the number that we need, which is what the code requires, what Ohio law requires in terms of area variances. But in doing so, we've also been conscious of putting the more intensive uses of the facility on 43, which makes sense. So what we're asking you to consider is that even though this is the town center district, if you look at the goals of the town center on one hand, but also the goals of the highway commercial district, we think that we kind of have that hybrid where we meet both. The more intensive uses, the canopy, the front of the store, the primary access fronts on a major arterial, which is 43. We assume that ODOT will agree that a light goes in at Falcon, and we would expect that traffic movements will actually improve substantially over current conditions today by having that traffic light. Now, we've put a curb cut on Falcon. We've positioned it as far east away from that intersection as possible, which the zoning resolution also promotes, but also to try to do in a way where traffic movements into the site and out of the site, we think balance very well. Sheets historically has double wide drive aisles. The canopy accordingly is positioned so that when people pull up for fueling, they have the facility there. Most of the parking is around the perimeter of the building. As I started to touch upon, all 4 sides of the convenience store feature the brick, masonry, and then this bronze metallic component that's carried through with the drive-through. Even the dumpster, the trash enclosure, 3 sides of that are masonry, and then the gates to access are that metallic bronze finish. So from an architectural design, and again, this is sort of hewing to the town center goals, you have this compatibility, you have this sort of comprehensive site development that we think is easy on the eyes. The canopy, one of the variances too, actually, with the canopy, one is it's 70 feet off the right-of-way. The more restrictive special requirement under your code for conditional uses looks to 100 feet. Although we note there's another one that says structures can be 30 feet away, but assuming the 100 feet, one of the variances is that the canopy is set back only 70 instead of 100 feet. But if you stop and consider to try to make the canopy compliant, we'd be pushing the store and all the site functionality eastward closer to the school. Not to mention the fact that if you create sort of the building box where the convenience store, which is the focal point of the site, goes, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room. So we think what we've done is we've positioned store, canopy, and the fuel service components on 43 where most of that activity goes. I would also note that definitionally, this is not a service station as your zoning resolution contemplates for any services as far as repairs. None of that in a Sheets facility. This is purely fuel services. There's auto diesel at the north and south ends. It's typically for pickup trucks and other vehicles that use diesel fuel, but it's not designed for heavy trucks. I mean, there's some box trucks that probably could use it, but for the most part, this is really designed to typical motoring public uses. As I pointed out, the parking is close in on the perimeter of the building itself. There is some parking that fronts, I think, 12 spaces adjacent to Falcon. Again, under the zoning resolution, a technical reading of your code indicates that you've got those spaces where you cross the parking lot to the convenience store. So technically that's a variance, but realistically, those are parking spaces for employees. They're more secondary parking. The way the drive aisles, the sight lines, the access points are from Sheet's experience, and we're talking now over 600 stores over the years, there's minimal conflict between pedestrian movement and vehicular movement. And that's true also with the drive-through. There's plenty of stacking distance for order point, and then plenty of stacking for the pickup for the drive-through component. It's about a $5 million investment. They're anywhere from 30 to 35 employees, about half and half, part-time, full-time. People have mentioned some concerns about safety. Note that Jamie is here. There are a lot of cameras on the site for security. Security works in such a fashion that it's almost like a 9/11 dispatch component. Monitored 24/7. If there's any event, that's something where Sheets has the ability in real time to respond and alert the authorities if there were a problem. I would venture to say, though, and this is something that HC and Jamie could also speak to, Sheets has enjoyed a very good history. It's a well-lighted place. It does run 24/7. The lighting is designed to keep within the perimeter, but at the same time, it's something that is safe, secure, and functions very well. You know, if I look through in section 410, there are a lot of specifics. I think you've got just shy of 24 of them. I note that a number of the items in the variance request touch upon some of these. But if you look at, again, the goal for conditional use is not to have adverse impacts to adjacent properties. We understand people's concerns. Perceptions drive a lot of those concerns. But in terms of traffic movement, traffic safety, Sheets focuses a lot on serving its customers well. And the history has been very, very positive. And what you see in the site geometry reflects those years of experience of providing a really smoothly operating and safe facility. The food services, there's made to order, there's grab and go. So in other words, you have that mix of typical convenience store. There's seating both inside and outside, of course, weather permitting. But the overall components within the store itself allow for really its generous use of space, and it works well. Now signage, I'll let Ryan touch upon that. There are probably specific zoning resolution callouts that would require some variances on that. But the overall sign package from Sheets is pretty minimalistic. And the renderings can show it to you. There are 3 store entrances. One in the northwest corner is actually 2 sides of a major entrance. There's signage above those 2 doors. There's another door on the south side, signage there. We've tried to have 1 wall sign for the made to order. The canopy itself, another height requirement is 18 feet. This canopy, bottom to top, is about a little more than 3 feet above your code limit, but that's for clearance underneath. And the canopy is a new generation design that has kind of a lower visual profile, and again, tied architecturally to the convenience store. So we think it's a practical arrangement from a design and a function standpoint. Landscaping, one of the code requirements is perimeter fencing all the way around. Candidly, we don't see that it's necessary. It's rare that any sheet site, and I would suspect that most service station convenience store sites would not require that, but it's in your code. Pre-existing screening right now is some relatively mature growth, those evergreens that are on the east boundary that wrap around to the south. Because of the the pickup point for the drive-through, we suggest a blend of a little bit of fencing and further screening there. The landscape plan, which both Ryan and Roger can go into a little bit more, is not only tasteful, but we think at the end of the day, serves to screen against the adjacent properties that would want it. Overall site aesthetics look good, but sight lines, again, for safety, for driving and pedestrian, you got to balance those features, and I would suggest that this site plan does those as well. So to kind of wrap it up, I think if you look at this property and make an imaginary axis north and south, separating the west side from the east side, the west side functionality is the more intensive use. The store effectively, as a structure, screens that component alone from properties that are to the east, especially for the elementary school. The only real activity function on that eastern side is going to be the pickup point for the drive-through services. There is the dumpster, which is up beyond that, but again, the use and function of that is pretty infrequent. So I don't think from that kind of nuisance impact aspect that one looks to for conditional uses that that's problematic. The design, the overall use of the site, we think, again, is a good transition use. And so what we're asking for you to consider is that this is a location that's pretty proximate to the interchange. The challenge is that it's kind of that first gateway into the town center, but for the kinds of uses that run along the 43 corridor, and then those that are off the corridor to the east especially, we think that this fits in well. Again, it's a hybrid transitional use. So excuse me, I'll stop now. I know I've probably lost you a little bit, but we really wanted to try to give you sort of the overall comprehensive view, and then Ryan can walk you through the site elements.
Before we continue, we do have, the zoning inspector alluded to 70 letters that have come in, and from what I was looking at, they seem to be about 1 to 6 in favor and 6 opposed, and they all seem to go along pretty much the same lines. But would like to have a motion regarding entering those letters into the minutes and make it part of the meeting.
Make a motion that we accept all those letters into the meeting or into the minutes.
I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I think predominantly a lot of the negative feedback seemed to be safety.
Well,
I
Bruce,
would like to, if we could get some information on that. But if we have other questions before we go on to, I think if we can just come up with whatever we'd like to hear, and then you can try to address it properly.
yeah, Bruce, one thing too, a lot of those letters, even if you read the positive ones, they're concerned about safety as well. They're supporting the project, but they're even mentioning traffic patterns and limits of traffic, et cetera.
Yeah, we get that. And as I say, that's why we've got some of our folks that can describe sort of that interactive component for monitoring. But the other aspect is that Sheetz facilities have been around for quite a while. And what you see today, and I don't think this is an exaggeration, it reflects that evolution of how to design a site well. A lot of historically petroleum industry businesses, they started out about 1/2 acre, then maybe up to 1 acre. Sheetz typically is at a minimum of 2.5 acres. That's because all the drive aisles are wider, the parking spaces are wider, the bulk of parking is close into the store facility itself. The lighting features are designed to be, again, aesthetically attractive, but from a safety standpoint, work well. We understand that the traffic today, sometimes you get backups. Eric Smith can talk to it, but we've looked at the traffic counts. We tried to study from an objective standpoint, because that's what ODOT looks to. I think everyone would agree that a traffic light at Falcon, that'll help to regulate. You've got a very busy corridor. Sheets, as is typical with a lot of fuel service and convenience stores, is not so much a generator, rather it captures existing traffic flows. I mean, the reason this is a desirable site for this function is not just the proximity to the interchange, but it's the traffic flows that go through there. We saw a number of these letters. People always get upset when they see that growth in traffic, but it's a fact of life in this country. Everyone wants to drive, just nobody wants the other drivers to have to deal with. And I'm not trying to be glib, but at the end of the day, this is a site that pulls off of the traffic. We think that the overall traffic flow, if anything, one could argue that the safety component, just from motoring public traffic components, will improve. In terms of the convenience store, that's pretty much a local retail use. And the town center contemplates in some fashion. I know that Tom Weesey can speak to it in more detail, but historically, there was maybe a Dunkin' Donuts there, or maybe there would be an office. I mean, there's looking, in the zoning resolution, looks for a mix of uses, ideally to co-locate. The size of the site makes that a little bit challenging, 4.5 acres. So you get what is a generous site geometry for safety and function for Sheets purposes, but then you also have this other perimeter, which allows for other landscaping treatments. And it's a good investment. I mean, Sheets brings to the table a very solid capital improvement. And we just think when you put all those things together, a lot of times it's the fear of the unknown, or people know that there's traffic there, they don't like it, they don't like to see, maybe we saw a number wanted a Sheets facility behind a McDonald's. But the nature of this use is to play off of this major corridor. And that really is something your zoning resolution recognizes. It's a busy arterial, and this corner lot should function very, very well there. And I'll stop, and but I hope that answers the overarching question, the concern that residents have. We think that this meets them very well, objectively.
I believe some of the safety concerns as well are for the students, the elementary students, as well as the traffic pattern using Falcon Drive to come into the Sheets on that curb cut. They're concerned about the pedestrian traffic that's on Falcon. We have a lot of children that are dropped off, picked up every day that don't use the buses.
Right.
And, I'm assuming that northbound traffic will probably come in off of 43, but southbound traffic, I doubt is going to pull into your driveway off of 43. They're going to try to use the Falcon Drive road.
Well, that's why the light would control that function for the most part.
Right.
Ultimately helps the school traffic.
Yeah,
If I
I think
can
they're
interject.
concerned about the traffic on the school, foot traffic, car traffic.
Right.
And then, of course, a number of letters were concerned with child trafficking and things of that nature as well. So I guess if we could hear from your safety people and how we're going to avoid that kind of concerns.
We got that, and I'll just touch upon it again, and then I promise to stop. But when we talked to the Board of Education folks, that question came up, and we did provide them with a number of existing Sheets facilities that are close to schools. And again, our security folks can speak to it, that there's been no known history where there's a problem. So I can't minimize people's concerns, but I think truly that's a perception issue. Everyone, administrators and parents, are clearly very, very sensitive, understandably, to what goes on near the school. But this is the kind of use that historically has demonstrated that those fears are really unfounded.
Well, let me interject something. You said perception versus reality. The reality is you take your life into your hands sometimes going through those intersections. So specifically with the McDonald's across the street, that road that's over there is not supposed to be used as a parking lot. Trucks use it as a parking lot all the time. We just got done working with Circle K to redo their parking lot as well. You can't turn right or you can't turn left out of their main entrance. You have to turn. Oh, I'm sorry. I got that wrong. Bruce, help me out. I don't remember which way can't you turn out that main entrance? I know one of the ways you're talking about a traffic light there. I can see that creating a bottleneck as far as traffic going both ways. It might stop that traffic, but the traffic that's letting out onto the road because you can't turn specifically out of that driveway, that could create a backup as well. So I understand what you're saying about it relieving some of the congestion in one area, but I think it would be creating congestion in another.
Well, let me suggest, because again, I'm the lawyer, the advocate, and I'm relating to you a lot of what I've digested from others. But Eric Smith is here, and I think to some of these specific questions, I'm certainly not the authority on that, and I would defer to Eric on how we could answer those for you.
So am I on then, Bruce?
Yeah, I think so. It sounds like.
Okay. I'm not sure how this works, but anyhow, I am Eric Smith. I'm at 540 White Pond Drive in Akron. I have 35 years doing traffic engineering work, specifically traffic impact studies. I do want to say that we did prepare a traffic study to meet all the requirements that ODOT had. They control the access to SR 43. So we spoke with our folks, got a written scope. We've addressed that scope, submitted the study, and like Bruce said, we have not received comments back. But I've worked with ODOT for quite some time. I certainly can't predict what they're going to say, but I can tell you that that the study showed that the traffic signal there was warranted to be turned on colors, okay, red, yellow, green, and it considered any aspects that were just recently brought up about what could happen in terms of attracting traffic from the McDonald's or Circle K side. You know, there's really plenty of capacity at that intersection. The problem that's tough right now is making the left turns, especially from the side streets. That's what the traffic signals are for. They're to interrupt traffic on the main line to provide right of way to the side streets. So they may attract some more traffic. But I think what you were alluding to is that I think the Circle K has a right in, right out. And I'm not sure that they can turn, they may be able to turn left in, but I'm pretty sure they cannot turn left out onto 43. So all that traffic right now has to go down to, Brimfield Crossing Drive anyways. So it's all going there now. So I don't think we'd attract much more. But our study showed that there would be sufficient capacity. In fact, I think there'd be excess capacity at that intersection to handle the traffic that's there now, and that the sheets would also generate, and the different movements of the pass-by trips that Bruce mentioned earlier, folks that are on the road anyways, or maybe going to work in Kent, or they're heading to 76, they can duck in, get their gas, get their coffee or whatever, and then head back up north. So that's a big component of what's happening. But I'm not sure if I'm answering all your questions, but I'm trying to calm your fears about the traffic capacity, at least at the main intersection there at Falcon and 43. And I can get into lots of other issues if those issues come up. But did I answer the question generally enough?
You did, but go ahead, Bruce. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask. I remember that when Speedway came in and they performed a similar study, and while you're indicating that you're not expecting increased traffic, ODOT turned them down for the light.
Right, I understand. Now, ODOT has,
What makes your study different than theirs, I guess?
well, I think a couple of things. One is time has gone by, okay, since the Circle K came in. And even with the COVID, the traffic counts we performed about a month ago for use in this study at the intersection showed that the traffic right now is sufficiently high that ODOT could turn the signal on, okay? So traffic has grown since Circle K came in. I believe I was not involved in that project, but you know, ODOT has specific thresholds that they use for traffic on the main street and traffic on the side streets to warrant a signal. Now, I'll be clear, just because a signal meets a warrant, you know, it's in the revised code and the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, just because a signal is warranted doesn't mean it has to be installed or put on colors. So no one, you know, ODOT is not going to be forced whatsoever to turn this light on. However, in our prior meetings with the school board and so forth, I know that there was a lot of interest in getting that light turned on to colors. It's been a situation out there for quite some time. I've observed traffic in the morning and when school gets out, okay, which is probably a heavier time there than any other time in the evening. And I did not see, you know, any major safety issues. I did see there were breaks in the mainline traffic from the signals upstream and downstream. Okay, so if you've driven that and tried to turn left out of Falcon, a lot of the school buses come out and turn left from Falcon. Now most of the cars go out to Kelso. They go south from the school, but a lot of cars did come out of Falcon, and most of those turned right, but several of them go ahead and try to make the left. I'm thinking what could happen is when the signal goes on colors, that you'll get more, especially parents, going to Falcon so they can turn left more safely onto 43 than going down to Kelso or other places south. That's conjecture. I don't know that. I don't have a crystal ball. But as a driver and as a traffic engineer, I think that's what you're going to see happening. And like I said, there appears to be lots of capacity, lots of time available to accommodate the traffic there, okay? And the signals are responsive, okay? It's not, you get 30 seconds here, 20 seconds there, 30, no, there's detectors on the road, there's all kinds of things to make the signal operate as efficiently as it can. And ODOT would be in charge of that, and they obviously do a very, very good job efficiently running their signals. So we'll have to wait and see what they come back with in terms of their response to the traffic study, but I think the signal would be a positive thing for the community, the schools, the businesses across the street, and for Sheets.
I guess I'm still looking at I understand the traffic safety and so forth. So I'm still, I guess, looking at or weighing the whether or not this is something that we can conditionally permit, whether or not it's something the zoning board should handle and the rezoning, or are we, you know, actually stepping on their toes, so to speak. I guess that's, who do you have then that would speak to that on top of that?
Well, two things. One, I don't have an immediate answer for that other than what we've tried to demonstrate. If it comes down to it where at the end of the discussion tonight that the board feels it needs more time to consider those, I certainly can follow up with Mr. Guidetti as well as you could with Mr. Ladd. So where I'm going is that it may be worthwhile for all of us to continue the hearing to a later date. I think, though, that if you have better discussion about the overall site plan functionality, one, that'll help. We've addressed the traffic and that safety issue right up front. I'm sure there are a number of others. So all I'm going to say is I don't think we can answer that question right now, but I think the more detail we provide you should give everyone a better sense of perspective. So if I may, what I'd suggest is Ryan can go through the site plan component, give you that more comprehensive picture, if you will, and then we certainly can return to that discussion a little bit later, because I get it. I mean, it's an unusual circumstance that the Board of Zoning Appeals has this provision. I have not seen this in other zoning resolutions where if it's not specifically called out. That's why we've tried to at least kind of break down the functionality and how that relates to the two zoning districts that this is, one, adjacent to it and within. But with that, if Ryan can go forward, I think that'll help.
Okay.
Thanks, Bruce. Again, my name's Ryan Balco. I'm with Sheets, 361 Edmore Road, Fairlawn, Ohio, 44333. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with the site plan. And just to confirm that everybody can see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see it.
Okay. So, you know, Bruce gave a really good rundown of the site. So I just want to quickly point out some features of the site again. 3/4 access off of 43. That would be right in, left in, but restricted right outs. You know, as far as safety and crossing 43, customers leaving the site would not be permitted to make a left out onto 43. If they wanted to go south on 43, they'd have to come up to Falcon Drive and go through that intersection with you know, hopefully the signal. The access drive off of Falcon Drive would be full access, so there would be no restrictions. Again, as Bruce mentioned, the overall site does have oversized drive aisles. So I believe per code, it's either 24 or 25 feet for a two-way drive aisle. We provide 35 feet for our customers. And then the parking spaces themselves are oversized at 10 by 20 feet. Majority of our parking on site is up against the building. And the sidewalk is flush with the pavement, so customers can pull up and just walk into the store. Around the store, we do have some outdoor seating that you can see in the site plan. There's approximately 20 seats around the north and the west side of the store. We're proposing 6 fueling islands out front facing 43. Again, Bruce mentioned, you know, the spaces on the north side of the site here, and there's 5 spaces down on the south end of the store. You know, we've got a couple sweet spot parking situations. We look for approximately 45 spaces. We know that works from an operational standpoint for our sites. And then we try and put, you know, approximately 25 spaces around the store because as Bruce mentioned, these kind of outer parking stalls are used primarily by some of our employees, and you know, they're obviously less desirable than the spaces up front. Over along 43, these 2 boxes right here are another amenity for our customers. They're air machines that you can fill up your tires, so you can pull up. It's free air. Underground storage tanks are located as far, you know, west on the site as possible. On the south side of the site is the drive-through. So customers will pull in under a clearance bar, pull up to an order point, and once they're done ordering, they'll come up, cross this drive aisle, pull up again, you know, along the back side of the building here, and they'll be able to pay and pick up their food. Trash enclosure located in the southeast corner of the site. And then as a requirement, we're required to put sidewalk access to our store. And I believe per code, we were required to provide two bicycle racks. So those are located on the north side of the site here. Bruce also mentioned some of these renderings that we wanted to show and present. So we provided, we presented these to Mike at an earlier meeting when we first brought this project in front of them. These are 3D perspective renderings of our standard store and our standard signage package. So this would be if you were standing close to the intersection of Falcon Drive and 43, looking at the store. Double set of doors on each side of this vestibule for customers. The sheet sign above each set of doors to designate that as a customer entrance. Metal awnings above all the windows and MAPES canopies above the doors. You can see the brick and stone facade wrap around both sides of the building here. And again, I mentioned the oversized parking stalls and the flush sidewalk, and to keep customers from kind of driving onto the sidewalk, we have these bronze bumper posts in every parking stall. This is a perspective if you were standing at the southwest corner of the site. So this is the third customer entrance, again with the sheet sign above the door and the MAPES canopy. This sheet sign above these three doors sort of signalizes the customer entrance. It's our way of, our form of wayfinding signage. We do have ice offerings and propane offerings on the exterior of the building that you can see in this rendering. Again, I want to mention this is a prototypical perspective rendering. This made to order sign, we've actually eliminated from our sign package for this project because from our understanding of the code in the town center district, we wanted to reduce the amount of signage that we felt wasn't necessary for us to operate. This perspective rendering would be from the northeast corner. So this would be kind of from the turn on Falcon Drive. So you can see the drive-through pickup windows. And I just want to point out that, we do not change the building materials on the backside of our building. It sort of wraps around all four sides. So the continuation of the brick and the stone, MAPES canopies over the windows, and as I said with the made to order sign, we have eliminated this 24/7 drive-through sign from the proposal for this project. This rendering is just a little further towards the intersection. We wanted to show you this because this is actually the canopy elevation that we submitted as part of the project. This is a newer design canopy. So if anybody's familiar with the two sheet sites in Kent, you're probably familiar with the red backlit canopy. This is a newer design that we're rolling out in new markets, but we felt that it would be appropriate for this project with the intention of the way that the town center district code read. So bronze metal trusses that hold up the red canopy, and continuation of that kind of stone material from the building. We carry that out to the fuel island canopy. This last rendering that I wanted to show you would just be the southwest corner. So again, with the new store canopy, the building facade over here, and then you can kind of see what the drive-through components look like. All of these other elevations were submitted as part of our submittal, but you can, as I mentioned, we've eliminated the made-to-order sign on the facade of the building that's facing 43. And we've eliminated the 24/7 sign that was in between these two windows. One of the items, those 5 variances that we are requesting gets a little bit more into signage, so we can cover it at that point. And then here's this the facade of the fuel island canopy with a little bit more detail on dimensions and height and materials and signage. I believe Bruce mentioned he touched on the trash enclosure. Again, this is wrapped in 3 sides of brick and bronze metal doors that match that metal bronze on the building. And then we submitted elevations for the drive-through equipment as well. And then last elevation that I just wanted to show you is the monument sign that we're proposing. This sign does meet the zoning code for height and size. And then again, with that variance that I mentioned, there's just a stipulation in your code as it references the town center district, and only allowing either one monument sign or wall signs. So we are asking for both sets of signs, but we can get into that during the discussion on that variance. But we believe that, I've sort of showed you kind of our standard signage package. And we did take it, put some consideration into reducing that for this project. That's all I wanted to touch on. I will say that I know the other thing that was brought up as far as safety, we do have Jamie Ashurst on this call. He provided me some information on the security system and how that all works, and the training and all that's involved in training the managers at these stores. So I'd like to hand it off to him, and maybe he can just touch on some of the highlights on how that operates to hopefully give you guys some more comfort.
Hello, this is Jamie Ashurst. I'm the Security Operations Center Manager for Sheets. A brief rundown of our safety system and security system. Every store is monitored by our Security Operations Center. We're staffed 24/7, 365. And what we do is we respond to safety alarms that would come in. When the safety alarms come in, we get audio and video associated with it and respond accordingly. We dispatch police, fire, EMS, whatever is needed locally from us to the sites. We also have two-way audio at our sites to where we can interact with the stores. We check in 3-4 times daily with them just to see how things are going. We also use it to move issues on and assist with issues. So if we have a loitering issue and the store notifies us, we'll actually voice down to move on loiterers and things of that nature. We also have a camera system that consists of inside and outside. So we cover anywhere from 15 to 20 inside the store cameras that will cover south floor, entrances, register areas, anything customer view and non-customer view as well, where staff would only be permitted. Exteriorly, the sites average 16 to 25 cameras outside. I looked at this site earlier and we're looking at probably about 19, 20 cameras outside. With the outside, we cover parking, sidewalks, seating, pumps, the dumpster area, any exits. And then with this one having a drive-through, we cover the drive-through so we can see cars entering the drive-through, exiting a drive-through. And then the lane that's swept on the right side of the store there where the dumpster was, we would cover that with cameras as well since it's a driving lane. We try to get as max coverage as we can. We work closely with law enforcement. So if law enforcement needs video for a case they're working, say someone drove by our site, or if we would have an issue at our site, we work closely with them, providing video if needed or information as such, whatever's requested.
Thanks, Jamie.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'll, you know, I will point out that that has happened numerous times where, you know, we are so well covered with video cameras that, you know, if there's an accident or, as Jamie mentioned, if there's somebody that visits the site or drives by the site, there's been numerous times where we've, you know, been able to provide them with security coverage to assist in those instances.
You gave this same presentation to the school board, or at least the site plan?
Yeah, so back in August, we were on a virtual, we gave a virtual presentation with the school board. This project does have a number of restrictions by the school board that we meet all of them, but we wanted to go through the proper steps, and so we presented the site plan, the building elevations with them. You know, we felt that there was a positive reception there. We even followed up with a list of probably 36 stores that we operate in close proximity to elementary schools. So we provided that to Mr. Porter over at the school board. He just wanted to, you know, he never told us whether or not he ended up reaching out with them, but he just asked to have that information, you know, for his own benefit. So, you know, we worked with them to provide that information with them.
This is HC Phone speaking. Yeah, there was actually 11 elementary schools out of our 611 that are in the similar proximity to one of our convenience stores. And we're happy to provide you all with that list as well. I have the list of elementary schools.
All right, have we heard anything yet, or any input from the police department, fire, so forth, on safety on the area?
Both fire department, the chief I had spoke to, and I don't want to speak for him, but he was concerned about this going on the property, as well as the police chief was worried about traffic. So.
I don't know about the rest of the board, but I would like to hear from, since it is going to be next to the school board, I'd like to hear from the school board.
I agree.
If there's
I'd like to hear
valid,
from that as well.
and if there's valid concerns from the police chief, even if it's just a letter, I'd like to get that entered into the record if possible.
Bruce, but I'd like to hear from ODOT as well.
Again, this is Bruce, and all of those are valid points, and we kind of anticipated that we're giving you a lot of information, and these are questions. I think the follow-up is certainly worthwhile. So in terms of continuing or tabling, we certainly are open to that, because we want to make sure you have all of the data that you request.
This is HC Phones again. I would also like to add that if the signal is not activated, it's very unlikely that we would locate at this site. So without the signal, I don't believe the sheets will go forward.
Without the ODOT permission?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if that helps you with traffic concerns or not, but we certainly have issues with unsignalized intersections and would not be prone to locate at that kind of location. So without the activation of the signal, we would not go there.
if I could restate the obvious, I mean, again, we've got a lot of letters stating traffic concerns, and now we have the police department and the fire department stating traffic concerns. So it seems to me that that's the, the outlier for everybody is that the traffic is an issue, is a major issue.
Well, we get that, and that's why I think that's, to that point, the more that there's objective information out there, I think that then you can relate the concerns with those data. So that's certainly something we want to make sure is there.
And then I have one other question. With it being in such close proximity to the elementary school, are you planning on selling tobacco, alcohol, that sort of items out of your convenience store?
That would be our standard offering, yes.
Yeah.
And we have an impeccable record with sales of takeout beer and wine and tobacco. We're responsible operators, fully card, yeah.
Do you have any policies regarding children who are unattended by adults, especially around the time school lets out, so forth?
I would not think that elementary school kids would be out and about like that, but I'm not sure what we certainly do pay attention to children at our stores.
Yeah.
That
I guess I'm you have an elementary school, and my wife actually taught at that school for a number of years, and they have had on occasion children just kind of wander off. I mean, they try to prevent it, but it does happen. I'm just wondering if one of these unattended children come walking into your gas station, what your policy is.
I can certainly get our policy. I don't know what it is, but I know that our staff would be tuned into the local community and that school being there, and would pay close attention to that type of situation. We'd obviously contact the school, the police. We wouldn't allow young children to be unattended like that. But there's no specific, I mean, we could create a situation that would be comfortable.
Well, no, I guess I'm just, just to know that the school and the police would be contacted, that would be.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one thing I know that generally speaking, there are protocols where managers, employees are monitored. There's certain criteria. So to HC's point, it sounds like that's something that we can supplement that information and then customize it, so to speak, for the particular site.
And I don't know if Jamie can address that specifically or not.
That actually might be a question for Kathy Potter.
Kathy, could you address that? Uh-oh.
Yeah, she's on. Kathy, you're on mute. I don't know if the bottom left of your screen there, unmute yourself. There you go.
There we go.
Help me, Kathy. Did you hear the question, Kathy?
Yeah, she's muted again. I guess if we're talking about.
How about now?
Yeah, now you're good. Yeah.
Okay. We certainly can institute policies and procedures to accommodate that and encourage employees to pay close attention to unattended children, as we always do. If a young child comes in there, we're always looking for who they're with. And the employees are very good at keeping an eye on that. And we have never, I've been with the company 27 years, and I do not recall an issue ever.
Never say never.
That answer? Oh, I know. I know, I know. I just said that I don't recall an issue ever. But our employees are very good at observing, and they know that they can push their button for the SOC or call our security operations center at any time, and we assist with that. We work very closely with law enforcement. Law enforcement, for the most part, very much appreciates us because we can provide video for criminal activity in our stores, credit fraud, things of that nature. But we also help them with outside of our property issues. And we have a great working relationship with them. So if anything would ever happen with a child coming in, I'm sure that we would address it very quickly.
Now, they indicated that you do have cameras on the drive-through. Would cameras also pick up any foot traffic from the elementary school?
Well, without actually seeing the site and being involved in the installation of the cameras, I can't answer that just generally. But we can also accommodate that with additional cameras if necessary.
Yeah,
We're
Kathy,
not set to a number of cameras. Go ahead.
yeah, Kathy. Jane, I shared the site plan with Jamie. I don't want to speak for him, but I think there would be an opportunity to, have some of those pointed, at the specifically at the entrance on Falcon Drive there to cover some additional area. But I don't know if Jamie wants to weigh in on that.
If I can interject, and just because my suggestion is that because we're looking to continue, my request would be that that our folks contact directly police and fire, since they've expressed some concerns, and I would suspect it go beyond the traffic. But that might be useful. The more we can get some collaborative discussion and then report back for the board, that probably would help out. So the issues of the camera, the policies, the traffic, those are components that our security folks could take up with them if that's something the board would promote.
And I would look for, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, hey, this is Judy. I have two quick questions. Just what would be your average expectation for cars per day? And then second, behind the elementary school, we have 4 baseball fields, softball, baseball fields, that outside of COVID time are generally pretty busy in the spring, the fall, and the summertime. What would that back corner of the plan look like in regards to the potential for people walking back and forth between that? Is there going to be a walkway over there that leads to Falcon Drive? My worry would be about people just simply cutting through the parking lot of the school, cutting over Falcon Drive, and then trying to cut through the back where it looks like it's going to be that drive-through. Have you guys gave any consideration to that?
This is HC speaking. It was sort of our understanding that there wanted to be a delineation and try and dissuade people from doing that, perhaps using sidewalks and walking around properly. We certainly, did not intend to make an interconnect, but if that's something that the school wanted to have happen, we could certainly accommodate that.
Yeah, I would just to add to that, there is a bit of grade change, from Falcon Drive in that back corner where the dumpster is located and our pavement area there. And then I don't know if how familiar you are with that mature vegetation that's kind of on that buffer, but it's pretty grown together. So, right now, like when I visited the site, I couldn't walk through any of the trees. I had to kind of go towards 43 and kind of walk around it. Kind of as I showed on the site plan there, we are proposing that sidewalk connection on Falcon Drive on the north side there that would kind of bring you to the narrowest point crossing the drive aisle to the store. So I think naturally, people might try and walk through the trees, but I don't think that's going to be kind of the trend. I think people are going to walk up Falcon Drive and then maybe see that sidewalk connection and walk over to the store.
Well, I think, wasn't it the intent of the existing growth and any fencing would be to prevent people from coming in the backside of that property?
Yeah, that's what we're saying. That's what I'm saying is I don't think that I think naturally people there's not really an opportunity to make that connection there.
Well, if I could, back in my architect days, we used to say that destination places were always the most dangerous places to go because people in their cars are, pigeonholed on where they're going and not paying attention to what's around them. So I really don't want to underestimate how much everybody's concerned about the traffic in that area. You get people walking, from those baseball fields. I mean, they do it at McDonald's all the time. They're walking back and forth. I mean, you go through there and you're lucky you don't take out a truck driver trying to get from his truck to the McDonald's. So, it is a concern because it does happen. And I can very much see that those baseball fields are packed and somebody just wants to run over to grab something and next thing you know, you have foot traffic. So, like I said, I just don't want to underestimate how much we're all concerned about the traffic pattern or about the additional traffic.
Understood. And Eric, you could probably weigh in quickly on his first question with the number of trips per day.
The number of trips a day that will be generated by the sheets are it's going to be a couple thousand for the whole day, but half of those are already on the road. And daily track of a couple thousand sounds like a lot, but that's all day long. We typically deal with peak hour, and in the peak hour, it's 150 or so trips. That is someone going in and then someone going out. That's 2 trips. A car going in is 1 trip. So I don't have the report directly in front of me right now, but it's not as big a generator. Obviously, it is a destination. There are some trips that will be absolutely primary. They want to go to Sheetz for the Wisconsin cheddar cheese curds. Okay, that's my favorite. So you'll go there because that's what you want, and then you'll leave. But a lot of folks will just be driving in. So the traffic study, which I'd be happy if anyone is interested in seeing it, it's basically a technical document, but that information is public. ODOT has it. They're currently reviewing it. I would suggest that maybe we wait until ODOT's done reviewing it, and it might help you understand what's in there. But while I have the floor, if it's okay, I'd just like to note, I remember outside of the ball field folks, where that would be perhaps more adults or whatever, I don't think you'd have young children. I witnessed on a very nice day a couple weeks ago, the drop off and pickup, and the school does an outstandingly safe, nice job of handling the pickup and drop off. That all occurs, like I say, half the traffic comes in from Kelso, comes in and leaves via Kelso. The other half comes in via Falcon. They meet together there right by the school, and the drop off and pickup is on the southern end of the school. The several hours that I spent there, both in the morning and in the afternoon, I did not see one child pedestrian. That is a very much it's a neighborhood school, but there's no neighborhood. If there's kids walking there, they're walking across the fields in the back, which I did not see. That's conjecture, but I witnessed no children walking from 43 or from Kelso going anywhere near the school. They're either bussed in or their parents are dropping and picking them off. I didn't see, not to say that doesn't happen, I just didn't see it. So it seems to be a very, very safe school as far as that goes.
Go back. What are your considered your peak hours?
Well, the peak hours for the peak hour of the road or the peak hour of the school, okay? In this case, the peak hours,
you mentioned like you could have a couple thousand cars a day.
Right.
And then you said a couple hundred during your peak hours. What are your peak hours
The
for?
typical peak hour, the typical peak hour, I believe out there that we counted was 7:30 to 8:30. The school opens, that people start lining up at 8:30. The doors open at 8:45 and the bell rings at 9. Okay. So we saw the cars backing up, queuing up, both on the Kelso extension and on Falcon, beginning around 8:30. But the peak of 43 is more 7:30 to 8:30. Okay. Because people are going to work, that type of thing. So the school peaks at, I'd say 8:30 to 9, but the intersection 43 peaks more around 7:30 to 8:30. So it's very, very close. Okay. Very, very close. In the afternoon, the school gets out at 3. Okay. And, it gets out at 3:30. So the cars start lining up around 3:15, and at 3:30 they're released, and then everything just happens. Okay. But that's not, so that would be the peak. That would be the peak probably of Falcon, but the peak hour for the intersection is going to be heavily weighted.
It wasn't a
43.
question
It's going to be later. And am I missing your question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I wasn't asking about the traffic wrapped around the school. I'm very familiar with it. My question was, how many cars a day are going to be in and out of your gas station? And then when you mentioned peak hours, what are your peak hours of the gas station out of the traffic?
I'm very, very sorry. Peak hours of the gas station are typically the peak hours of the road because they take so much traffic off the road. I would say 7:30 to 8:30 and 4:45 to 5:45, somewhere around there. And during those peak hours, you'll experience a couple hundred trips, 150 or so trips. Again, that's from memory. I don't have the report right in front of me, but something along those lines going into and out of the entrances to the store.
And then when you mentioned a couple thousand before, you were referencing a couple thousand cars on the 43 Falcon interchange, correct?
For the day.
For the day, not a couple thousand
right.
at Sheets.
Right.
My question was about how many cars a day at Sheets.
Yeah, that's what it would be.
Gotcha.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm sorry if I misunderstood your question.
I have another question on the, you talk about your peak hours, but then of course you're open 24/7. Middle of the night, how many employees do you have?
This is HC Phones. We would have a minimum of 3 employees at the store at all times. And during peak hours, likely 6 to 8 employees.
Okay. Okay, then you were going to address the police and fire, report back. I would like, if possible, can we get a message off to police, fire? I'd like their report as well, either verbally or in writing. And also if we can get some information from the school board on how they took the presentation, any concerns that they have that we need to know about. So if I can get a motion for continue. And,
if I can interject.
Okay.
Not to interrupt, but I understand, I indicated that Tom Weesey's here, and you know Tom, but I think he wanted to address maybe a little bit of the history. I'm not sure. I think Tom is still here, but that would be a comment. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll try to get this brief. So it's been 13 years ago that we bought this property back in 2007. We did that at the request of the school. We were not initially seeking that, but they were out of money and needing to finish their building, their parking lot, and they didn't have money either to build a road to their new building. So the township had first dibs. They decided to pass, and so we bought the property at full price. We proceeded to build that roadway, which we let the school design. Their architect designed the entire roadway. We worked with Dick Messner on that. It was important to Dick that all of the roads interconnect. And so all of that was done per his approval and the school's architect designing that. And then we donated that land, about an acre, to the school. So we end up with this 3.5 acre site, which is somewhat of a, I'll call it a tweener site. It's really too small to do, some kind of a large, strip plaza that would have enough mass, to attract multiple tenants, have a couple anchors. And it's really too big to accommodate just a single user. So, a lot of people ask, why isn't that property developed? Well, that specific site has been very challenging because we're always trying to line up either 2 or 3 users together to make it work. And so you're all aware of the Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' had all kinds of concerns about where's the access drives, how are they shared, cross-access easements, who pays for the maintenance, and so forth. And ultimately, they pulled the plug because we didn't have that second user lined up. And we've since made other attempts with retail and dollar stores and car washes and so forth, fast food. And it's very difficult to get all the stars aligned. Traffic, we share the same concern, as does the school, as does McDonald's. We actually helped to pay for a traffic study back in 2014 at the request of McDonald's to warrant that light. We came close on one of the warrants, but we didn't have enough generated traffic based on McDonald's alone. And then the school doesn't have a long enough peak period to really sway ODOT's numbers. They look at increments of time, either 4 or 8 hours. But it has always been the strong desire of the school to have that traffic light activated, as it is for us, for McDonald's, anybody who's going to make use of that corner lot. For the school, it's a big safety issue. It's also an economic issue because they don't want to have to pay a county sheriff or Brimfield policeman to have to direct traffic. That hits their bottom line. But the biggest concern is safety. So we've always tried to work as a team, both in designing and building the road and accommodating the school and their construction budget and trying to get that light activated. Everybody's always had the mindset that that land is to be developed commercially, and we paid a very high premium for that, the school's full asking price. They've been very cooperative on any requests, possible users and that kind of a thing, including formally approving Dunkin' Donuts. And I want to say this too. I mean, the Skipper Group has tried to be a team player. I think sometimes people come to their own conclusions or miscast. We actually had a three-way deal that we had worked on. It took 3 months of my life back in 2010 to acquire the Circle K property on Talmadge Road, relocate them to our town center property, and then in a roundabout way, the township would have gained use of that site. In any event, we worked very closely with Dick Messner, Dan Tronge, Mike Kostensky, Chief Oliver, Bob Keller. Everybody was in favor. And I'll never forget Chief Oliver's, it was then Chief Blau. I pulled up his email here. He said, "I will walk barefooted in glass through a minefield to make this project a reality." It didn't happen because Circle K pulled the plug, but I just bring it up because we had no inkling that the proposed sheets would ever result in any of the level of concern, both from the township and some of the public. So if there's been any offense created that was never intentional on our part, it really blindsided us. That said, we do think that sheets would be a great fit for the site. This obviously is a corner lot with a traffic signal next to a major interstate. We've got probably, in my opinion, one of the best operators in the country in terms of sheets and their reputation, their design. We were very impressed. They're going to wrap this building on all 4 sides with brick. So it's important to us also who that user is going to be on that site. One more thing, I'll close with this. In terms of access, as we have in the past looked at multiple users having to fit together to use that site, we've always ended up with at least one additional curb cut beyond what Sheets is proposing. So Sheets is kind of that needle in the haystack type of a user that's big enough that they would utilize the entire site, and they're willing to do that with just one curb cut on 43 and one on Falcon Drive. And the other site plans that we've worked up for multiple users has an additional curb cut on Falcon, which is opposite the school's driveway into their parking lot. So in terms of traffic and safety and traffic patterns, I think this is actually the best of all worlds. It's one less curb cut. And I think that the traffic is no more and maybe less than if we had a fast food user and a dollar store and a car wash all side by side. Can't prove that, but I just offer that for thought. If Sheets doesn't occupy and build on the site, I don't know who else that would be, but they're going to have all of the same issues, and I think we're going to face the same concerns, traffic, the light, so forth. Just for the record, we're a team player, and you know, we've been trying to work hand in hand with the township, with the school, and we thought this would be a great use, and just I offer that for your consideration. If there's questions or more need more information on the background or context, I'm happy to provide that. Anybody's welcome to call my cell. I'll give them as much time as they need. So with that, I'll close.
Do you have anybody else that wants to talk then on the issues tonight?
I guess the only question I have procedurally, understanding that you're seeking continuance of the conditional use issue, as are we, frankly. Do you want to discuss the 5 variances now, or do you think it makes better sense to, when we return on the conditional use issue, to address those then? Or it's really, do you have specific questions pertaining to them, or do you think it more is in conjunction with the overall conditional use request?
I would think we should hold that until the conditional permit or conditional use would be decided. I would encourage the board members to at least look at the variances, and if there are questions, forward them to you over the next the next 2 weeks, which would give you time to come up with replies.
That'd be great. It'd be good.
Okay. So again, then, does anybody else have any, the board members have requests that we need to look at, or any other suggestions for this evening?
And I'd like to see the report from ODOT.
Okay. So then I need a motion for a continuance and a motion to make requests of, well, ODOT will be provided by by Sheets, I'm assuming. But I would like a request sent to the police, fire, and school board. If they can't provide a representative, at least something in writing that we can have for the record. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we continue this until our December meeting, and we invite comments from fire, police, ODOT, and I can't think of anybody else first.
School board.
School board, thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Any other? Okay, then we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All righty. All those in favor of continuing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All righty. And then again, like the last time, if somebody has questions regarding any of the variances that you can think of, please forward them through the zoning office to the applicants so they have the ability to answer those questions if possible.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. It's been a long meeting, but we appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good Thanksgiving.
You too.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Stay safe.
Oops.
Thank you.
All right. So then, do we have anything for the good of the order?
No, not tonight, but you might want to set the December meeting and make sure everybody's good with next one would be December the 16th.
Okay. Works for me.
I'm okay.
I'm good.
I'm all right.
Any questions from the board members? Any good of the order from the board members?
The only other thing that I have, and I'm sorry.
Okay. No, go right ahead.
I just want to welcome Lauren. She's sitting in tonight. Kayla is doing the meeting tonight, and she's learning from Kayla and picking stuff up really fast. And I want to welcome her on board.
Hi, Lauren.
Okay, so, hello.
Hello.
Hi, guys.
I was wondering who you were sitting over there.
Can't hear you.
I said our next meeting, December 16th. Do we have any other motions?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll say it first.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
All righty. Thank you. Everybody have
Happy
a happy
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Have a good night.
Happy
Have a good
Thanksgiving.
Thursday.
Good night.
Have a good one.
Bye.